Hello, this lesson is on multidimensional array. After completing this lesson, you will be able to tell the characteristic of multidimensional arrays. You will understand how to access a specific array element in that multidimensional array. You will be able to conceptualize multidimensional array with a practical example, and you will be able to write a C program for accessing array elements under that multidimensional array. So what is multidimensional array? It is basically multidimensional array is basically array of arrays. For example, array of one-dimensional array is two-dimensional array. Array of two-dimensional arrays is three-dimensional array in that way. So to what level we can go? C programming typically allows 3 or more dimensions, and the exact limit is determined by the compiler. Now for specifying the n dimensions, you have to use n indices. For example, the typical declaration will be first the data type, then there should be array name, and then within square bracket you have to specify the respective dimensions. So in this example, Si is the size of ith dimension. So S1 is the size of first dimension, S2 is the size of second dimension, S3 is the size of third dimension, and Sn is the size of nth dimension. So for declaring one-dimensional array, you will be terminating the declaration just after S1. You have to put the semicolon here. For declaring two-dimensional array, you will be putting the semicolon immediately after S2 and discard the rest in that way. And a respective array element can be accessed by using the array name and then the subscripts. So where the subscript I1 has to be less than equal to that particular size, which is S1, I2 has to be less than the second dimension size in that way. So here we are having one particular example. Suppose there is a company and which is basically trying to track the year-wise customer data, and the customer data is again it is distributed across the individual quarters and across individual cities. So if they're trying to take this year 2 data for say quarter 3 and say for city 1, then this is the element we are actually looking for. So this sort of structure can be highly represented as multidimensional array. In a generic term, if you are trying to get the number of customers for year I, quarter J, and city K, then you are basically looking for cust I, J, K within square brackets. If you have declared the array with the name cust. Let's now look at a problem where company ABC is trying to maintain year-wise, quarter-wise, and city-wise data of customers. They need it for performing a trend analysis, like what has been the customer growth, and for doing that, they are basically looking for a simple data entry system where the number of customers, see at this stage you do not need any other details for this simple program, only the number of customers. So they need a data entry system where the number of customers can be entered and displayed. And you are requested to write a C program for simple entries and display of the number of customers. And for the sake of simplicity, let's assume that they need the data for only for 2 years, 2 quarters, and 2 cities. At this point, you are expected to pause the video and write your own code using pen and paper. Hopefully you have completed the program. So you must have used a multidimensional array. See, in this program, we are supposed to work for 2 years, 2 quarters and 2 cities. But for allowing future enhancements, we have taken 3 separate constants, n years, n quarters and n cities. We have defined those constants and then used within the program. Now with that multidimensional array, you are first allowing the year-wise data. Okay, so first print that label, enter such and such year data. After that, this must be in the enclosed by the outer loop, year loops, and within that you have actually used a nested loop. Within that, for the second subscript, which is the quarters, you have taken another loop, and finally for the cities loop, cities part, you have introduced another loop. So this is basically 3-level nested loop. And finally you are being able to access this cast ijk, and for allowing the data entry you are using this scanning function. Okay, the respective new line printing, these labels are all for helping in the data entry. You are now in the charge of displaying the data. So for displaying that data, again you are using a nested loop. So within the year loop, you are printing the year label, and then you are basically creating the city labels, some new line for beta looks, and finally you are having the actual the data display loop. So it is having, so for quarters, for cities, finally you are being able to access cast ijk. So let's have a quick run of this program. So it will be like, so the data, let's try to enter some data. Okay, then says some data looking like very small figures, but this is just a sample program, isn't it? So after that, you can see the display in a very structured way. Okay, so all the arrays we have discussed so far are the static arrays, and which has used static memory allocation. Static, so that you that means that you cannot change the size of the array at the runtime. So what you need to do, you need to estimate the largest size upfront and create the static. For arrays with varying size, you need more memories which can be allocated at the runtime, which is called dynamic memory allocation, and such type of arrays are called dynamic arrays, and it is basically implemented through pointer variables and various memory management functions like malloc, alloc and realloc. The details are to be covered in the next course. The topic name is pointer, and using pointer you can actually create and manipulate various sort of linked lists, tags and queues. So now these are the various lesson references, and hopefully you enjoyed the course. Thank you.